Well, the market is just disgusting out there. I mean, we got new 52-week lows after new 52-week lows coming. Every article out there is basically negative. We have inflation still basically running wild. The Fed is tightening a lot. We have the Russia-Ukraine situation still raging. Tensions with China. Europe is in the middle of an energy crisis. And now even the buy the dip people are selling or saying that a crash is imminent and about to happen. So is it time to just sell and run? Well, having been completely invested during the dot-com bubble and the financial crisis and living to tell about it all, I will share that insight with you as the fear is very, very real, but the reality is sometimes different. But hold on, slow down guys. But I also have an urgent warning for you as an investor that you must hear or you will lose in this kind of market. So I just asked in exchange for you to gently tap that like button and consider subscribing too. It's super easy to do if you like the truth without the hype. So what all is going on right now in the market is honestly not that unusual for an old guy like me. Now, I'm not saying older is better than young or anything else like that. But when you have invested and lived through 3 actual massive crashes, and this one actually makes 4, and having made some huge mistakes and made some great decisions too, it is easy to rely on that experience to keep your cool in this type of market. So let's start with the tech bubble first. Back in the late 90s, I was a young know-it-all investor going to turn my $2,000 into millions in just a year because that's how investing works in stocks, right? You basically buy the latest hot stock, 10x your money in a few weeks, and kind of rinse and repeat to millions. But unfortunately, that wasn't really true, and I made every mistake possible before, during, and after that crash. Before the crash, I made the mistake of buying the hottest trending stock and completely ignoring valuations. I mean, valuations didn't matter with high-flying tech companies. They were all going to the moon. Then the crash happened, and after I lost 50% of my money, I made the mistake of selling out completely because stocks only go down, and I'm going to just take my loss now and buy back in cheaper. Except I had no idea when stocks were actually on a discount because I didn't do valuations at all, so I was too afraid to buy when stocks were at their all-time lows and just a steal deal. I mean, I made the mistake of not buying Amazon 90% off and a ton of other great stocks that I really loved and wanted to own because I did not put in the work. And then I let my emotions dictate my decisions and I listened to the Wall Street Journal and all the other news stations instead. And just for reference, guys, the internet was not like it is now, so that's basically where you got your news from. And let me know down in the comments if any of this sounds familiar to the past couple years. And I think many new investors get caught up in this exact cycle, and I know I sure did for sure when I was a new investor. Bottom line, I could not have handled this any worse, and I literally made every mistake that you make. But after that, and looking at my 4% interest rate on my savings, I figured saving my way to millions probably wasn't the best strategy either, so I basically studied more, read every book possible on stocks, and I started buying again in 2002 until the next crash. But this time was completely different for me due to the scars of the previous crash and all the mistakes that I made. Basically, when the market got overheated and valuations got way out of whack, I was honestly not buying. Now, let me be clear here, I had no idea what was going on. Absolutely zero, no idea. The only thing I knew was prices were out of whack and would eventually correct down. The math is the math, and valuations always eventually matter in stocks. And the sting of losing half of all my money that I saved since I was a teenager still stung even up until that day. It still hurt a lot, and I wasn't going through that same sting again. And then the financial crisis hit, and it lasted for years. And I was still down, but not nearly as bad or as fast as the previous crash because I bought based on valuation and avoided buying at those all-time highs, and I was instead pooling cash that I could now distribute back into the market. And because I'd done valuations on everything, I knew when stocks that I wanted to buy were on a discount and then on super discount. Now, did I buy too early? Yes, I absolutely did. It always dips after I buy, and I went too early buying into this crash. Absolutely, I did. I did not time the bottom on a single stock I bought. Not a single one. Actually, I wasn't even close to the bottom. That's how poor I was at timing the bottom. I bought before the bottom. I bought after the bottom, after a new low was set, and then they bottomed again after that. And each time I had cash that wasn't going into real estate, it went into the stocks that I wanted to own that were great companies. Buffett says, don't speculate. Buy great companies on a discount and look long term, and that's honestly all that I did. And maybe it was easier back then because it's not like you had an app on your phone, where you can check it every 5 minutes. I had basically the old school flip phone, if you guys remember that. And I had a computer that I hated so much that I never even logged into it to check. But on the flip side of that, I was down for close to 2 years. And I looked dumb. I was bleeding money everywhere, so it seemed, and I didn't time a single purchase anywhere close to the bottom. And yet I made more money in that first year coming out of that than I had in my entire life, including my paychecks. And that was years before most people even began kind of dipping their toes back into the market. Now, don't get it wrong or twisted. I missed on some picks and I made some terrible picks, and I've made videos about them in the past about my wonderful G investment that I could literally put money anywhere else and done 10 times better. And trust me, guys, my group rumors remind me all the time about that buy and buying too early, this down too, and they have jokes for days about all that sort of stuff. Oh, and don't forget, you can get direct access to me to make fun of me too for all my terrible buys that went horrible or the ones where I went too early. And you can see my buy alerts in real time, take 4 courses for free. We got multiple exclusive videos released weekly. We got live weekly Q&As and a ton more in the Market Insiders private group. And there is something special that will drop for those members in, honestly, hopefully less than a week here. And our members cannot wait for it to drop, and I'm super pumped up for it too. So I will announce it here on YouTube, probably in the coming week. And I might have already activated the special sale pricing early too, if you want to be part of it and get in on that before it expires. So it's the pinned comment down below if you're interested. But the bottom line with all this is, it doesn't matter over the long run across my portfolio that I didn't time the bottom or that I had a few losers in there with some of my winners. It was an unbelievable, once-in-a-lifetime chance to buy stocks on an incredible discount. So now I've been following this same exact playbook this downturn as well, except for it's a little more refined, and obviously I've gotten my cash position and my money flows and everything else in a much better position than they were back then. I am not worried about timing the market. I know I cannot do it, so I'm just strategically buying great stocks at great prices. And sure, absolutely, I'm going to have some misses in there. I know that and I understand that. But I believe my buys in Tesla, PayPal, Google, Amazon, and many other great stocks are going to pay off big time in 3 to 5 years. I know I can't time the bottom, so I don't care where the bottom is. I honestly don't care, and you'll never see me try to figure it out or anything else like that. Long run, the prices today on many of the great stocks that have fallen into undervalued territory are going to look just silly. And some great stocks, honestly, have not fallen into undervalued territory yet, so I'm not buying those yet, but I will be a buyer if they ever get there. The beauty of having been through this a couple times before is I have not once felt fear or had the urge to sell any stocks. Every single metric during the financial crisis for the stock market and the economy was much worse than it is right now. And I also know the more beat down stocks get, the more money we will make coming out of this on the back end, so I'm almost wanting it to get worse like all the doomsdayers are saying, so I can get even bigger discounts and make even more money on the back end. The biggest fortunes are made during the crashes, not during the inevitable run-up afterwards. But there is a warning I want to give you guys today, but don't worry, I will tell you exactly how to handle all this as well. But the warning is this: the fear, the noise, and the intensity of the message are going to get worse over the next quarter and through the election cycle here in the US. It will be far scarier out there than it should be, and you are going to hear it everywhere, especially as every company out there adjusts their guidance and kind of adjusts to the inflation and everything else that's going on, the Fed raising rates and everything else. If you decide to fall into the fear and listen to the noise, you will make mistakes, you will miss opportunities, and ultimately you will be left with regret. So how the heck do you deal with this challenge? I mean, it's not easy at all, and the emotions are very real. Well, this is exactly what I am doing to handle those emotions and to stay calm and cool and to execute during this downturn. I already have a plan laid out that serves not only my stock goals, but my wealth goals, my retirement plan, and my overall life plan. Build one of those if you don't have one, and we cover that in the group, but you can find it on YouTube or Google it too. Find the information and start there. It doesn't matter where you get it, but you need to have a plan that encompasses all those things. You also need to have your cash position ready, and I have roughly 30% in cash, and I have other instruments in place too if I need more cash, along with my money loops that constantly replenish my investing account. I totally get it. It's really hard to start one of those right now in the middle of this sort of stuff, but do everything you can within your budget. Take on an extra side job, take on something else, trim your budget down, whatever the heck you need to do in order to get more cash coming in for you to stock up and buy when those opportunities come. You will also need to know exactly what stocks you want to buy and know the price target you want to buy them at. In a crash scenario, you want to buy great stocks at undervalued prices, but you cannot do that unless you have done a real valuation on each stock so you know exactly when a great stock is on a discount and when it's not on a discount. And finally, you have to execute your plan no matter what is going on, no matter what the noise is. Be willing to pull the trigger. Plan for if you buy and it keeps dipping, because that happens to me all the time. Every time I buy, it keeps dipping. Understand that it may not recover as fast as you want to, so be patient and wait. The longer it stays down, the more you can add to a great stock at a great price. So when it runs back up, which it always does over the long run, you will have plenty of shares and get to enjoy the run up instead of having FOMO like most people will have because they didn't have a plan and they didn't execute when they had those great deals sitting in front of them. So hopefully this was helpful. And if you don't know how to get a price target or how to do a valuation and want a step-by-step process for doing that, building wealth, and you want direct access to me and much more, remember to check out the pinned comment down below to become a member and at least look at everything you get. And click this video here for the stocks I'm still buying in this market, and click here for exactly what I'm doing to make huge money in this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.